everybody. Welcome to the Fire Up Your Metabolism. Oh, let me put my light on. Okay. Can y'all see me any better? That a little bit better. I need to put new batteries in that. So, day number 3, we are talking about a subject matter that unfortunately most diets or most experts just don't mention and don't emphasize. And it's probably one of the most important things that you need to eat or consume. And so that is protein. Protein is a part of a healthy diet. Proteins are made up of what are kind of like building blocks, amino acids, which is what our proteins get broken down to. Your amino acids or your protein is what repairs and builds your bones, your muscles, your enzymes, your hormones, which you're going to hear me say repeatedly in this challenge, that the whole weight loss, success, fitness is really a hormonal change that people just don't realize. It has a large degree to do with hormones. We're going to cover that a little bit more in day number 7, but it's totally a hormonal thing. So I don't think there's an article or an expert out there that when they're talking about weight loss that they don't talk about eliminating sugars or empty calories. But inevitably they fail to mention the importance of protein. Now, there is no other food that you can eat that directly results in the building of muscle. Nothing. So, first of all, why is protein important? Protein important because of that reason. It is literally what builds muscle. And why is muscle so important? Because it's what burns calories all day long, even while you're sleeping. So, again, most diets will tell you to eliminate empty calories, empty sugars, stuff like that. But they just don't tell you how many grams of protein. Like the keto diet tells you to increase the fat, which is to make up for the lack of energy that you're going to get in the carbs, but they don't say anything about protein. Not to mention they say you can eat any kind of fat you want. On average, this is just on average, your body needs 0.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight you have. So that is just to maintain the current muscle mass you have. That is not to gain any extra muscle mass. So for, let's say, a person that weighs 300 pounds, would that mean they eat 150 grams of protein? I probably wouldn't start them off at 150 grams. That's not to say that they don't need 150 grams. I wouldn't start them off at that because typically what I find is that people eat approximately 60 grams of protein a day. That's typical. Not to say that you don't eat more. Some people eat less, unfortunately. But approximately 60 grams a day. So I'm not going to tell him to eat 150 grams right away because that's going to be a shock to his system. It's something radical. He's probably not going to stick with it. Now, I will tell you that when you eat protein, so let me explain this way. So by replacing carbs and fat with protein, you are going to automatically eat less calories. So, not to mention that your body breaks down so when let's say you're eating 100 calories of carbs, your body actually uses 10 to 15% of those calories just to break down that carbohydrate you just ate. So just to break it down, it uses 10 to 15% of the calories. When your body goes to break down a protein, it needs 20 to 30% of the calories from the food you just ate just to break it down. So that means your body has to literally double your metabolism speed or the energy required to utilize in order to break down that food. So you automatically eat less calories when you eat more protein because it just reflects in less calories because your body has to use it to digest it. Not to mention that protein keeps you fuller longer. So I'm sure that there are going to be some vegetarians and vegans out there that say, I can't eat meat. And I personally am not a vegan or a vegetarian, but I do know that it is possible to get your protein in by simply eating a plant-based diet. I had a newsletter mailed to me the other day about the latest Kentucky Muscle Show that was in November. and the guy that won in his height class was 100% vegan or vegetarian. One of the two, but 100% natural, basically. So it is possible. That's not to say that you're not going to have to be a little bit more creative and might have to eat more of a particular food in order to get your protein in, but it is possible. Now, I would be interested, if we have any vegans though, I'd be interested if you put in the comments what protein source you use the most, or vegetarian, what protein source you use the most. Again, I don't like to report on things that I haven't been. I understand the whole animal cruelty aspect of eating meat, and I'm not for that. That's not cool. But I also enjoy chicken and a steak occasionally. So there are studies, though, that show that the animal protein is actually a higher quality protein than what a plant-based is. Now, when it comes to just human body, if you think about it, man has been eating meat since the beginning of time. We've only had an obesity problem for the last, let's just say 50 years. Man has been eating meat since the evolution of time. So it's not the eating of meat that is unhealthy, it's where the meat is coming from these days. So the reason, for example, these places that mass produce meat for us, they do heavily have animal cruelty. They don't feed them adequately. They ingest them with hormones and antibiotics just to keep them alive long enough to get them to the butcher. So the quality of the meat we're eating is a problem, but it's not the eating of meat. So I would be interested to know, if I have any vegans or vegetarians out there, first, why did you decide to become a vegan or vegetarian? I assume that people do it, besides the animal cruelty aspect of it, which I totally get, but I assume that when people do it, they're doing it because it makes them feel better, or they're losing weight or of some sort. So I'd be curious, what made you switch to become vegan or vegetarian, and how did you feel? What was your experience? I would be really interested. So our brains and our liver burn the most calories, okay? But the other metabolically active organ in our body is muscle. So when we do this, eat less, exercise more, our body will slow down our processes to account for the calorie deficit. So it can't get rid of the brains or the liver, which burns a lot of calories because obviously we need them. It can get rid of the fat, but it won't, because fat burns very few calories an hour. It's not a very metabolically active tissue. So why get rid of it? So what it's going to get rid of is your muscle. That is why it is so incredibly important to maintain the muscle mass that you have now, not to mention to build muscle mass. Protein is the only thing that we have control over as far as building muscle mass. Now, the other thing that controls muscle growth is a hormone called testosterone. Now, whether you are male or a female, you have testosterone in your body. And when you reach the age of 40, you progressively start reducing the amount of testosterone your body produces, which is why it is harder to gain muscle, which makes it even more important to keep the muscle mass you have. So make sure you're eating enough protein. The first question you should ask at every meal should be, what is my protein source? Rather, what is my lean protein source? That should be the first question you ask when you sit down to eat any meal. Then you can add your carbs and your fats, but what is my protein source? So muscle is vitally important that we hang on to, because like I said, it's what keeps us metabolically active. It protects our bones, our joints. It's what gives us quality of life. The other component, the reason why I'm so interested for my vegetarians and vegans out there of what protein sources that you use, is because we are very naturally in tune with the earth. So there are many minerals and vitamins that come from the earth that we obviously can't eat rocks and digest that. Our bodies can't digest that, but we need the vitamins and minerals that come from the earth. So how our bodies get that is because of eating the plants that come from the earth. That's how our bodies get those vitamins and minerals. So there is a healthy aspect to plants. I'm just saying that when it comes to obesity, it's not necessarily something you have to rid yourself of. We've been doing it for thousands of years. It's just the quality of meat that we're eating now is just low quality. I mean, our food agricultural company and farms are all about mass production. It's all about quantity, not quality, which is why organic or grass-fed beef is more expensive, because they pay attention to the quality. Grass-fed, meaning they don't feed it corn, which is what a lot of cattle get, is corn, because it's a filler ingredient. Remember, I discussed that yesterday. So today's growth work is actually relatively easy. I want you to first do the math on what is your minimum amount of protein that you should be eating in a day. So take your body weight, cut it in half. That's your minimum. Now, don't get overwhelmed when you look at that number, because you're going to take that number and divide that by however many meals you eat in a day. So whether that's 3, 4, 5, divide that large number by however many meals, and that's how many grams you need to aim for at each meal. That's your minimum. I would advise you to eat more than that, but start with just figuring out how much you're eating right now. If you're keeping a food journal, like I asked you yesterday, it should calculate it for you. So find out roughly, without having to pay attention to, how many grams of protein do you eat in a day? And then start really paying attention to it and increase your protein, because it's going to directly reflect in less inches on your body, because protein builds muscle. Muscle weighs more, but it lays differently on your body, so it decreases the inches in circumference. So that's why it's so vitally important. So the first thing is to do your math on what is the minimum amount of protein that you need in a day. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to take a picture of one new protein source that you're going to start incorporating into your diet. And I'm going to call an audible bonus points if it's a plant-based protein, because like I said, I'm really interested in the plant-based. I'm not saying I'm going vegetarian or vegan, because again, I like chicken and I like steak occasionally, and I like fish, but I'm just curious. I just would like to incorporate more plant-based protein sources in my diet, so I'm curious. The other thing that I didn't allude to in the welcome call is that being part of this challenge, I am gifting you all a free strategy call with me, a private free strategy call with me. Now, this does not, by booking a call, you do not get extra points towards the bonus prizes. This is just something that I am giving to you so that not only do you achieve your 2021 goals, but so that you don't, at the end of this week, you're not going, oh my God, how do I incorporate all these secrets into my life? What am I going to do? When am I going to do this? When am I going to do that? I don't want you having those overwhelmed feelings. I don't want you feeling like it's an unattainable goal. So what we will do is we'll sit down and evaluate exactly where you are, your health-wise. We'll set a goal, your goal, not what somebody else has for you, but what is your health goal? And then we will come up with actionable steps that you can take to reach that goal. So I will put in, let's see, can I do that? No. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to put in the comments, but I guess I can't. So when the video is done and it uploads, I will put my calendar link in there. You can sign up for a free strategy call, 30-minute call. Like I said, we're just going to go over where you're at now, what health issues you have, what your goals are, and then a reasonable action steps to get there. So you can achieve your goals as long as you have somebody that's holding you accountable and that can evaluate your progress and lead you in the right direction. So set up a link, join the link when I put it in the group, and set up a strategy session with me that is free of charge. It's just my gift to you. No more points for setting it up, but my gift to you so that you can come up with a plan at the end of this week and exactly how you're going to reach your weight loss goals. So hopefully you all got a little taste of how important today is. I really wanted to start it off with protein because that's how important protein is, but I also wanted to give you all some wins, some easy wins, and you will see greater results faster when you eliminate the sugars. You will see the results faster. Protein kind of builds on itself. It's a compounding effect. So figure out how much you need per day. Half your body weight is an estimate. Then divide that number by however many meals. I will tell you guys, if you're not eating at least 3 times a day, that's a problem. That is a problem. I know some of you are going through a fasting period, which is another reason why you should schedule a strategy call with me, because fasting there are bonuses and benefits to fasting, and it can help you lose weight. It can reset your metabolic imbalances. But there's a lot of misinformation out there as far as how fasting is effective. So book a strategy call with me. Regardless of what your goals are, I promise you we can get you there. It's a free strategy call. And then otherwise, post your growth work. So post a picture of the new protein source that you plan on incorporating into your diet, and bonus points if it's plant-based. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.